All right. Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and I am sitting today with my new friend, Eric Taylor from Big E Astrology. And I found Eric through Elena from Searchlight Tarot, who was on my show recently. And she had wonderful things to say about you. And now I'm even more excited because I know the two of you have a collab channel. And I can't wait to be a part of that whole thing. We'll get to that in a little bit. Eric is an astrologer, and I had a progressed reading with you, which I'd never experienced before. And so I would really love you to talk about your craft, how you got into it, how long you've been at it, and then we'll just kind of take it from there.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah.
I am honored to be on The Real and the Woo. I love the name and the title and love your
Thank you.
energy, all that Gemini energy. You know, it's so funny, Laurie, I've always loved astrology. Growing up in New York City, I would get the New York Post and the Daily News, and I was a big sports guy, my Yankees and Knicks. I'd read the sports section, and then I'd go scrolling to the other side of the paper and read the horoscope. And I knew as a young boy that I was a Virgo, my sister was a Libra, mom was a Taurus, and dad was an Aries. You know, you go on a journey through life. I only knew sun sign astrology. That's all most people know, right? And I got really into it in college. But it was, more like knowing the ladies' sun signs. So like once I mastered that, and I met a young lady, and she was like, "Oh, I'm a Libra, I'm this," and I'm like, "Ooh," I knew how to like talk to her and all that. So it was always good for macking. And that was like kind of like the thing at the time. But I got this astrology book, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the name. And unfortunately, I got rid of it because in 1999, towards the end of 99, 2000, I became a born-again Christian out in Los Angeles in California, with my half-sister going to her church. And then I threw away my big astrology book, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was like, this book was so incredible. Like, it broke down the decans, Virgo 1, Virgo 2, Virgo 3, and I'll explain that. They go in slices of 10 degrees, 0 to 9, 10 to 19, and 20 to 29. And I was a Virgo too. And when I read it, it said, the title was The Week of the Enigma. And I swear to you, after reading it, I'm like looking around and looking up like I felt like the Truman Show. I was like, who has been spying on me and watching my life? Like literally, it was like and this will make you crack up and give you chills. So remember I said it was the week of the Enigma. I was working on a one-man show titled E, the Energetic Enigma.
Stop.
I swear to you. And I was like, oh my God. So I was just tripping because like it was just so specific and detailed. And, that was the Virgo Capricorn decan, the second decan. But the way that it broke it down, it was just too literal for me. I was just like, this is weird. So then I become the Christian, get rid of it. And then I never really put it away. But like, when I was like on fire as a new Christian, oh, it's a sin and this and that. I kind of got caught up in that, and no judgment or hate on anybody that, whatever they believe. I really am at a place now where I'm very open with everybody and all of their beliefs. But I know now astrology is not a sin, and it's in the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. And it's all through all the books, and even beyond that, in ancient tablets and books as well. So I got sick in 2013 with valley fever. And Western medicine misdiagnosed me. And I was like learning, I'm from New York, but I live in Arizona, and I was learning the valley through my sickness. But then that led me to, I was so sick that I couldn't like work a 9 to 5. I was thinking about getting back to teaching, and then I was thinking about, I was already doing sports radio.
You have a really good voice.
Well, thank you. Sports radio was like, oh my God, and just radio in general, because people used to always tell me you should be on radio,
Yeah.
And,
I didn't know you did sports radio. Was that in
yes.
Arizona?
So we were over the internet, so it was like just everywhere. And I started it in New York with one show, and then I started a whole nother show in Arizona with my buddy back from New York. And we actually did really well. CBS Sports offered us a deal. It just wasn't for enough money. And they wanted us to move to Arkansas. And I was like, no. I was like, for Arkansas, I need like, good 6 digits, not less than that. And, when you're first starting off in sport and just radio in general, But sports radio, they don't offer or pay that much. So we were like, hey, if you have something in New York, LA, or Arizona, back to us.
Yeah.
So it just didn't work out. But I basically was so sick. I was dealing with, I'm going to be real. I had to take 2 Percocets just to get out of the bed in the morning. I had ice and heat on my body. I'm 5'11", and when I got married, I was 187 back in '08. I'm even less than that now because I lost a lot of weight. But at my max, I was so sick because valley fever is a fungus that comes up from under the
Yeah.
ground.
With from the spores, right? It can be from fires. It can be, right. So like the LA fires and the dust in
It's
Arizona
normally Western Hemisphere of the United States in the drier climates.
and
Nevada, Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, little parts like Fresno and Cali and a little bit of Washington. So it's big here. They know about it. It totally didn't go to my lungs where it normally goes. It went to my head and my neck, and I was producing mucus every day as if I had the flu. So it took me 2 years to get a proper diagnosis from a naturopathic doctor. And in that time, I was so inflamed, and it was just every day I was producing mucus as if I had the flu. So at my sickest, I maxed out 240 pounds. Never been overweight in my entire life, and it was the first time that I had to lose weight. But I got so sick. I went to God's first medicine, which is leeches, and I shaved off all my hair. I had leeches on my head, and people were looking at
really?
me. Oh my! It was wild, and I had friends and family even on Facebook like, "Whoa, what are you doing? That's kind of radical." And I'm like, "That's how sick I am."
You
I'm
know,
really that's
there was a segment on SNL years and years ago with leeches in it. Like I'm talking probably in the 70s or the 80s they had this on, and it was like back to medieval times kind of stuff. And yeah, when you're sick, there's desperation and
oh,
you've got to find the information and connect your dots your way. And it sounds like you obviously, like a lot of people who are sick for a long time, they figure it out. It just sometimes takes a while. So I'm
it
glad that
does.
you figured it out.
It was really a miracle. It was through a chiropractor that I met, actually, no, through a friend that I met my acupuncturist, and through the acupuncturist, my wife met a woman there, and she told us about this naturopathic doctor, and it was a game changer. But I got to tell you, leeches, they are my best friends.
Do you have them in a jar behind you right
I
now?
wish, because you know what they do? So they have in them this homeopathic medicine called the hirogene. And when they get attached in your body, they kind of like search and they dig for the right spot. And they will go in and they suck and drink out all the infirmities, and then they fall off and die. That's like their life. But what happens with you is that you secrete out pus, inflammation, a little bit of blood, fluid for about 20 hours. I remember that night, my oldest son, he was afraid to go to bed because they give you all these pads, almost like literally like diapers, because I also did my ankle. I had ankle surgery prior, broke it in 2011, and had two different surgeries on it, one in New York and one in Arizona when I moved out here. And really fascinating, I was able to get all the blood and all the stuff out of the ankle, and then I was able to run again because I went through. I broke the tib, I fractured the tib and fib. They said I would have been better with a clean break, but it was
Yeah.
a serious surgery. It was so bad. Went down on black ice, a block from my job in the Bronx. But I say all this to say that I started to research. I was like, well, I gotta work. What could I do? Could I be I've been a relationship coach since I was 13 or 12, right? Life coaching, and then I was looking for certifications and this and that. And then I started to research and watch astrology videos on YouTube. And then I started to get different books. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, Robert Hand, and this author, and Liz Green, who I already knew about. And, I'm reading these books, I'm watching videos, I'm listening to podcasts. And then I found this one woman, and I said to my wife, I think I'm going to take an astrology class. She's like, really? I said, I'm not resonating with just being like a basic life coach. I think relationship coaching is more my spiel, but this astrology, and there's a thing called medical astrology, babe. I was telling my wife, she's like, what? I was like, yeah, and I may be able to see and explain my sickness. So I signed up for this class. The woman who I'm so honored that I had her last year on my podcast. She was my astrology I took different classes, but she was the main teacher. Heather Elin, Astrology with Heather.
Oh, yeah, I've seen.
She's a
Okay.
Virgo like me. Oh, you know her work? Okay, she's
Well, I've heard you mention her, and I think maybe have. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Well, you got to watch the episode she was on my
Yeah.
podcast because she was explaining medical astrology. And we went through all the 12 signs and the body parts and the planets. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But so she is a Virgo like me and a Scorpio rising like me. And now I didn't, I barely knew what all this meant. But when I took the class, I swear to you, it was it was abnormal because I kind of picked it up like instantly,
Hmm.
like so fast, and it didn't make sense because I was even nervous taking the class because I'm visually impaired, and I'm like looking at the chart and all these lines, and it was just like I'm like this is a lot for me to figure out and see, and I realized like okay, you know how you were as an actor, you know how to memorize scripts like that. So I just memorized everything. I memorized the modalities, the cardinal, the fixed, all the terminology. My brain, being Virgo Mars, Virgo Mercury, and a Virgo Sun, I got a Virgo stellium. My brain is just it's just quick at picking things up and memorization like that. And
Mm.
so I got it all. And then before the class was over, like I was just like rocking and rolling a chart, and she explained
Wow.
it, and I said, "No, no, it's okay." I told Heather she could use my chart, and that's exactly what happened. And the description in the planetary alignments described the story exactly. Because he
Huh.
was murdered in Harlem outside of his car, and Mars is the adversary of the weapon, and Mercury, and it was just local community, and it was all there in my chart, in my 11th house, and it just blew my mind away. And then I never
Oh,
turned back. I've been
yeah.
practicing astrology. That was back in 2017, started to work with some clients. I would say officially probably since 2018, but
Mm.
I've been an astrologer since 2017, but really rocking and rolling with my business. I started off with tailored to you coaching
Hmm.
because I guess in a way I was a little hesitant in throwing myself out there as an astrologer because I was also doing chronic illness coaching and relationship coaching. And then I started off, I had a program. I didn't really get to work with people, but I used to do it with my kids at my school. I had a program where I was teaching children, giving self-confidence and teaching children self-confidence through hip hop rhymes and poetry and things like
Mm.
that. So I had this whole program for kids. It was really awesome, but I put it all by the side now, and I'm an intuitive astrologer and relationship coach. That's the
Okay.
long-winded answer.
Yeah.
But I love it,
Whew.
and I love what I do, and I realize now after getting Akashic Records readings and stuff that I've been doing astrology for millennia.
Yeah.
I helped to form the constellations and the zodiac and Lyra and Vega. And Debbie Solaris explained that to me in my Akashic Records reading and
Hmm.
just like gave me chills all over my body.
All right. I thank you for sharing all that. I want to cut in for just a little bit and a couple of things. First of all, I'm sorry about your father, but the sound you made is a sound you now make. And I wanted to ask you about your astrology podcasts. You incorporate hip hop, which you just talked about. So that's always been in your DNA, I guess, too. You've got a childlike, wonderful flair about you. And I rhyme all the time. So I just did it now, and I grew up with a family. My mom who's on the other side, a couple of things. She became visually impaired in her later years before she passed, and avid mahjong player. She would memorize the card every year. And I don't know if you've ever seen a mahjong card, but it changes every year.
Oh,
And the
wow.
numbers are, there's like, I don't know, I haven't played in a while. Let's say there's 15, 20 numbers in a row, and there's multiple rows. And she would memorize every single hand
Incredible.
every single year. And I've got an affinity for that with numbers, but I grew up in a house where we made song parodies. And so I just rhyming and singing and lyricism has always been in my life.
Love
Um,
that.
but when you have your show, you do two things: you clap and you go, pshh. And I want to know, where did that come from?
Well, I do that on my Astro Weather Report.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Okay, so
It's such a Eric thing. So
it
I just,
is. I have a thing called E-isms. And so one of my E-isms was like the name of my podcast, Knowledge is Love, right? Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast came from one of the E-isms. And I would just collect these things over the years, just these little repetitive things that I would do. And they were just like me, right? So like on my podcast, you hear me go, ooh, ooh, start the
Yeah.
show. I started doing that at college at University of Maryland. It was a way for me and my buddies across campus to be like, yo, I'm over here and contact each other, right? And that came from uptown New York and Harlem and Upper West Side where I grew up. And so I'd make that call and everybody knew that was me calling them, right? And we
Before cell phones, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in college way before cell phones, right? So we were doing we were viral. I've been viral since I was a kid, you know. So that was that. And then the phew, I
Yeah.
just thought of a cool way to transition and closing out each segment as I do my intro, the astro weather, I kind of set the spiel for the
Hmm.
week. I do Mondays from Monday through Thursday, and then I do Fridays for the weekend. I was originally started doing it every day, but it was just so time consuming and I've got
Yeah.
clients and other things to do. So then I said, well, I could do it twice a week and just do 4 days and then 3 days. And then it totally worked. And so that was the kind of the transition. And then some of my clients and people started commenting and they would like say it back to me, or I love when you do that. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the thing now. So I was like, I just kept it. And it was just so organic and natural. And that's kind of me. I only know, like I laughed, everybody like now authenticity and be this and gratitude. And it's very important, right? These are the four highest frequencies: authenticity, love, gratitude, and joy. But to be honest with you, Laurie, I've only known how to be me my whole life. I've
Yeah.
always been a leader. I've always been a trailblazer, a rebel, and I've always been authentic. I never, even as a little child, wanted to follow the crowd. I remember third or fourth grade when kids would like bully other kids, step up to the bullies, like, no, we're not doing any bullying on my watch. Like, that's not
Hmm.
happening. This kid is new to the school. We're going to be nice to him, this and that. Like, and I was not like this big, strong, like tallest kid. I just had the confidence. I had the big mouth. I tell people big glasses and big feet and a
Yeah.
big mouth. So, and that's how also I got the nickname Big
Big
E,
E.
which
Yeah.
is authentically me. And when I left Taylor to You coaching to bring things full circle, and I was like, I forgot what year it was a few years back. I was like, I'm mainly doing astrology now. I
Yeah.
do my coaching and relationships too, but I was like, I need to let people know this is an astrology business. So then I was like, Big E Astrology.
That's great.
And I even got the Big E tattoo since I was
Yeah.
like, 21 or 22 years old when I graduated college. So that is authentically me. But also the clapping, I also like that in terms of starting a show because I feel like, it's like,
Well, from your acting too, it's like the slap when you start, and if you're
exactly. And
trying
that's
to
how I
sync
think of
up
it on set.
audio, video, you clap.
Yes, everything. It's like when they do the start the scene.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's so funny that you picked up on that, but it
Yeah.
is because I'm in the Screen Actors Guild, so I did
Yeah.
radio, television, film as my major in college. I'm a professional actor. I've been on Broadway. I've been in the New York Times. I have my own movie out. I had a play that I wrote, produced. I've worked on a lot of television shows, film, movies, everything. And what's so funny and so humbling, all of that now, because I used to do sketch comedy. I never did stand up, but I did
Hmm.
sketch comedy. I was going to do it during the pandemic on my 50th birthday, but then the pandemic hit. So I couldn't
Yeah.
go do it. And I still may do it one day to go do stand up. But sketch comedy was my thing because I loved morphing into characters. And I'm an MC. So I've recorded 2 hip hop albums, 4 mixtapes, and I've got one more album in me. And I just want to tell you about this because this is fascinating. Show you how God works, right? God source creator is so humbling. I think it was before the pandemic, I want to say maybe 2018, 2019, around this time, I got the title for my 3rd album, One Night in a Dream. And my first album is titled Hip Hop Forever. My second album is titled True Speaker, which really made sense once I learned my chart that I was a Scorpio rising. I was like, oh yeah, I'm always about the truth. I even named one of my sons, his middle name is Truth. So truth is very important for me. But the title that I got is God Told Me to Tell You.
Mm.
And I was like, that's kind of weird for a hip hop title. Like, I like it. Like, I'm all spiritual, so that was cool. But I was like, that's long and kind of wonky. I'm like, but what does that even mean? I kind of left it alone, but to show you how much I follow spirit, right? I spoke to my hip hop producer, and he designed the graphic for me so I could have it to load up on iTunes and all that stuff. So, like, I had the album cover, like, already made out. I didn't know when I was going to record it or anything. And then, obviously, we'll get to this on another show, but
Yeah.
COVID hits or whatever, and I got really sick. And then I
Hmm.
was, I had an NDE, was in coma in the
Hmm.
hospital and all this stuff. And But then when I awakened and realized after all that I went through, I was like, now I know
Mm,
what God wants me to tell everybody. So God told me
wow.
to tell you, it came full circle. So I am actually going to be starting recording that album probably the end of 2025, early 2026, and hopefully release it in 2026. I say it's
That's
going to
so
be my
exciting.
last and final album. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I'm thinking it will be because once I do this, I may, I may just like randomly do songs, but I don't think I'll have
Yeah.
anything. Three is like the magic number. So, I'm always that De La Soul fan. So I think God told me to tell you is the perfect way to kind of like end the hip hop career in that sense.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, yes. And Eric's talking about, he keeps alluding to a story we're going to get to another time because he's going to come back on my show for my bonus segment, Why Not Me? So, we're not purposefully doing a bunch of cliffhangers, but we kind of are. So,
Hey,
and
you
that's
got to keep the
okay.
audience
It's a
teased, right?
good cliffhanger.
Have them
That's
come
right.
back. Yeah.
And my audience already knows. You might not know this about me, but I sing, and Lenny Kravitz is coming tomorrow, and I'm still manifesting first row tickets. I haven't gotten yet, but I'm going. He doesn't know this, but he's my spirit animal. He's a Gemini also, and
Very
so
gifted.
I'm always telling everybody who comes on, like, if you know Sheryl Crow, if you know Lenny Kravitz, Stevie Nicks, like, I just want to be a backup singer. I could lead, but I just want to sing with. So I'll just say the same to you. I don't know if I could lend my voice to your genre coming up, but I'm happy to if you'd like me to. And the Akashic record stuff. Okay, first of all,
By the way, can I just tell you before you go to Cosmic Records real quick?
yeah,
Okay, number one, I love Sheryl Crow, and I worked on a movie and hung out and met Stevie Nicks.
you did
Yes,
not.
I worked
Did
on the School of Rock with Jack Black and Stevie
you
Nicks.
did?
Yeah, when they were in the scene in the pool hall. And Stevie Nicks was so cool.
I love her. She's awesome. One of my spirit animals. So Sheryl Crow. So here, this is funny. My daughter, my eldest, got me this from a street fair in New York,
Oh
right?
my God.
Because she's from Missouri. I'm from Missouri, and people think we look alike. I don't know. Maybe we do. But Cheryl, if you're out there, I want to sing with you too. And she actually sang with Stevie Nicks on her song "Come On, Come On." So there's some music trivia for you. We could play that game all day. So back to the Akashic records for a moment. All right. First of all, you had mentioned that when you started taking your first astrology course, I think it was with Heather, that she could look in your chart and say that this is when your father was murdered. Okay, so I'm going to
She
give you a
described
two-part
it, yeah, the
question.
alignment.
Described it. So when you say, I don't know if I have a third album in me, isn't it possible for you to go look at your own chart to predict if you have another one? That's my first question. And another one, and maybe you don't do predictive astrology, I don't know.
Right,
My
right.
other one is for the Akashic. I had my chart read once. I had a soul star reading, and I was told I get this wrong all the time, either a designer blueprinter or a blueprinter designer, which means I actually help build the planet. So I came back because I have stake in the game because what we're doing to the planet matters to me. I'm
Uploads and upgrades.
I'm super old. It sounds like we were kind of traveling around up there, but that sound you make, I just wanted you to know how I connect it. It's perfect for your astro weather because it sounds like a shooting star. So
Oh,
that's what
wow.
I take
I
from it. It's
never
like,
thought
psh,
about that.
yeah. So I'm
It
like,
does.
oh,
Oh
maybe
my
he
God,
did
you
that
just gave
because
me
it's like a
chills. That's
shooting
deep.
star. Yeah. All right. So now you go.
Oh my God, that's so great. See, and I love that's the thing that I feel that I don't get through the computer and the technology is that type of feedback and kind of like these points of resonating. And I love when I work, I do every other month, I go to Missy's Mysteries. It's this beautiful crystal shop here in Scottsdale. It's a metaphysical shop, and she has these bazaars and these spiritual metaphysical fairs every month. But every other month, I come and I do live astrology readings. And one young lady came one time, and she was actually a fan who follows the channel, and she
Mm,
was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you in person." And, da, da, da. And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." She's like, "I came here today because I knew you were gonna be here." I was like, "Shut up!" Like it was so humbling. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Yeah.
at the same time, that's what I do this for because I'm a introverted extrovert. I'm very
Hmm.
social, very friendly, but I'm the hermit card, right? Virgo, like I love my time alone because I'm also
Yeah.
like pinky in the brain. Like I need 30 hours in a day so that I could sleep for 6 or 8 and then work for 22 or 24. So much
You
that
and
I never feel like I get everything done in one day that I want to do. I'm always like, oh,
no.
I could have done this too, you know?
Yeah.
So with
Yeah,
the
but I
predictive,
also need my alone time. Like people say, "Oh, you're a Gemini and this and that." It's like, yeah, I'll if I'm out, I'm already out. Like it's 3 a.m. and we're dancing, I'll stay. But I also need my alone time. I cherish it. So,
and people don't always know that about Geminis.
no.
Geminis definitely can go, within, I would say, or at least alone.
Yeah.
The introspection sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge, but I know you guys have and you need that time alone because your brains are like, oh my God. That's why I get along so well with Geminis though, because like as a Virgo, we do it the same way. It's just that I'm a little bit more reserved than the Gemini, and I see the Gemini like running the traffic first, and then I'll be like, whoa, whoa, slow down, Gemini, and then I'll come with them. You know what I mean? But it's
That's
just a
my
great,
husband and me. Yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah.
a
He's a
great
Virgo.
simpatico.
Yeah. My husband's a Virgo, my eldest is a Virgo, and I've told this story on my show plenty. I was undiagnosed apparently as a child with ADD, but my mom and my sisters used to literally set me down in a store and let me run. And then they'd say, wait, when they couldn't see me, and I'd stop until they could catch up. And then they'd say, go, and I would run. So it's like, I'm like this around my husband, and he's just like this, which is one of the reasons I was so attracted to him because I need
He was calm, still
that
waters, right?
tether.
That's perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
So with the predictive part, it's not something that I've thought of for myself because I'm always in service to others. I'll take breaks every once in a while and do my own progress chart or do my solar return chart. I haven't done that yet for my birthday coming up in September, but you know, they're so helpful, right? As getting the progress chart reading, it's like the book of Genesis, right? Where one day equals 1 year, and you move, depending on your age, you move it that forward that many days, and then you get to see how your soul's vibrating currently. And what's fascinating, it doesn't eliminate the natal chart, but it lays on top of it, and there may be parts of you that are resonating more with how your planets have progressed than with your natal chart, or you're noticing that you're not the same as you were when you were 15 or 20. And
Hmm.
part of that is literally the progress chart because the planets move and the ascendant can move. The moon moves every 2.5 years in a progress chart. And then in a mundane, our daily lives, the moon moves 60 hours every 2.5 days. So these tools are extremely helpful. So for me, no matter what the chart said, to be honest with you, I would definitely do, and I'm going to do this third album. In terms of beyond that, I say certain things. I don't really mean it because the truth is, Laurie, like I'm kind of like a full-fledged concert every day for my wife and kids, right? I do comedy characters and voices. I have my wife on the floor every day cracking up. She can't even take it sometimes. And then as far as the rhyming, I'm going to rhyme every day until my last breath. And I said that in
Yeah.
one of my rhymes because I'm a real MC. I grew up in New York City. I'm like the younger brother of hip hop. I grew up with the culture and I'm sort of a hip hop snob because, before it left New York and it started to go other places, we had such reverence and respect for the culture. It wasn't just MCing. You had the B-boys, you had the bombers with the graffiti artists who would tag and write their name up on the wall on the trains. You had the DJs, and we would do, these are the real four pillars of hip hop. And so for me as an MC, everybody played their position. And not everybody could be the master of ceremonies and rock the crowd and get on the microphone. And
Hmm.
so it's not for everyone. Now, everybody does it, but they don't love the culture. They don't love the art. They don't love the skill. Like you rhyme for a reason. So
Hmm.
my major influences like Run DMC and KRS One and Rakim and De La Soul and Tribe and Houdini and Spoonie G, it was about, and the Cold Crush Brothers, it was about the talent and the skill. I could have years ago when I was first like really doing it, I could have sat around and wrote rhymes about, misogynistic lyrics or being materialistic and, sleeping with women and driving this car and jewelry and gold. But that was not my favorite artist and my major influences. It was about storytelling like Slick Rick.
Hmm.
It was about intelligence like Rakim and Karis One. And so for me, to hear people sort of disrespect or literally rape my first love, it's very annoying and frustrating. So now, like, I consider it like really rap music, which is recording artists, whatever the title is, right? Hip hop, and being a real lyricist and MC, you craft your rhymes. And for me, I can write really well, but I also can freestyle. There's a lot of MCs out there who cannot freestyle. So I can go like off the top of the head. And I used to do this in college for hours. The only time I would take a break was when it was my turn to smoke the blunt. And I would point at people and we would go around the cipher, right? The circle, just like the birth chart. See, it's all connected. And I would have them pick different topics. So they'd pick topics like girls, fake MCs, politics, this, that, whatever the topic. And I would just rhyme about it. And then I'd take it to the next person. So, I tell people, and now looking at my chart, I see it like Mars and Virgo is a placement that I have that's very heavy mental. And then Virgo Mercury gives me a lot of the rhyme skills. I tell people all the time, the best MCs are Geminis, Virgos, Libra, and Aquarius. Those four kind of dominate, then Sag. Those are the top five. When you look at all the best hip hop artists, those are the five best signs for rapping. And I would have to give it to Gemini number one. No, the list of Gemini artists, you talk about Lenny Kravitz, right? But obviously Prince, but in terms of rapping and rhyming, you got Andre 3000, Tupac, Kanye West, Jadakiss, Notorious Big, Kendrick Lamar, Lauryn Hill. These are all Gemini rap. they're incredible.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
So much. So for me, that's what it's about. Like I will rhyme. Whether I do a fourth hip hop album or a fifth, I don't know, but I will rhyme for the rest of my days.
Well, I'm so glad you shared all that. And we connect on having a reverence and a respect for the craft of all we do. But I really tend to get kind of snobby old school, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but snobby old school is okay for me. There is a history from where we come when we first fall in love with music or the genre. And then it is aggravating and annoying when people distort it. And for a while, it was hard for me to find songs to sing along with, because people just forgot how to tell stories, that they just wanted to, just kind of like you described, it was more about them than sharing. So I just tend to resonate to the people who have messages, who are talented storytellers. And people like that I like a lot.
Probably why you love Sheryl Crow. Because the first time I put on that first album, I was just like, song after song, I was just like, you didn't have to fast forward or go to the next song. You could put on the album and listen to her whole album.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're like this, like I am, but because that's how I would listen to music from beginning to end. There are songs still that come on. I can pick the note, sing it in key, like just now. But then I also know the next song coming and I'll sing that in key. And it's just like, is that something that's going to make me a gajillion dollars? Maybe, if there's like a talent show or something. To me, it brings me joy, right? Which is, so I'm going to break here because in my show, I do have my segment called Joy on the Fives. So this is a really good segue for that. So I usually spring it on my guests. It's a way for me to break in the show to elevate joy across the globe. So in this moment or any other moment, Mr. Taylor, what brings you joy?
It's always got to be laughter. I took care of my mother for 20 years. And she was a survivor of breast and brain cancer and had dementia. And I lost her in 2021. But making her laugh, when I hear my boys laugh, when my wife laughs, I love to laugh. But for me, it's when I make others laugh, and when I hear laughter, I had a very tough childhood. Obviously my father being murdered when I was 6 and a lot more that we don't need to get into. It's always laughter and joy. I love to laugh. So that's what brings me joy. And of course, I like to watch my sports. Brings me joy. Or bringing up a new birth chart too. I still get the tingles. Like when someone tells me, think of it, it's like getting these coordinates, right? And you're getting the longitude and latitude. And it's like, it's the map. It's literally a map of your life. When you tell me your birth time, your city, state, and the birth date, and I type it all in, and then it comes up. It's like, and I get and I see it, and I'm like, oh my God, who are they? You know what I mean? And it's so exciting.
That's awesome.
It's so humbling to me because it lets me know I don't have a job or a career. I just, I make money doing my love and my passion. And
Yeah.
that brings me joy too.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that. It's also a good way for me to also kind of come back to um, your secret sauce, right? So your flavor of astrology. You offer things I've never heard. For example, I wrote this down the other day when I was listening to your, I think it was probably the Astro Weather because you go through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it made me giggle, so it made me laugh. So thank you because I wanted to ask you. It's like you remember the days of the week underpants. Like if you've ever heard about the days of the week underpants, it's like you give us days of the week underpants in astrology because you're like, Monday is, I don't know, you tell us not only what the day is, what the planet is associated with the day, what we're supposed to eat, drink, be prepared energetically, meditate that day or go take a walk that day. And I know just from having my progress chart read with you, you also layered in some of the medical stuff like, oh, that's lungs, oh, that's legs, oh, so it's so fascinating. And I really just, again, because you might not hear this from people, but you really do add so many wonderful layers. And I don't know if that's formulaic for you, but if you don't mind, just because I would like to know,
Yeah.
like each day of the week, just from the planets alone, because we haven't even gotten to me on this show. But when I was listening to the astro weather and the planets, I'm like, okay, I want to ask them about the chakras because I want to be talking to an astrologer who can have a show with me and talk about each of the chakras is also associated with each of the planets. And are there zodiac signs that are associated with the chakras? So we don't have to talk about that now.
No, that's interesting. I haven't really
Yeah.
thought about that, but I'll tell you, so the days of the week, right?
Yes.
You start off with Monday. Nobody wants to go back. I mean, really, the day of the week starts with Sunday, so I guess we should backtrack, right?
Okay.
Sunday is the official like start of the day of the week, and it's the day of the sun. So it's a solar day. So Sunday is a great day to spend time outside. That's why there are no dummies. That's why the NFL plays football on Sundays, because you feel revitalized on Sundays. Feel like you can be in your purpose, right? You feel more confident on a Sunday. That's the day of the planet, the sun. We know, right, in astronomy, the sun and moon are luminaries, but in astrology, they're planets. It's the sun is also you and your father. Monday, the moon. Why does nobody want to go to work on Monday? Because it's the day of the moon. You should be a day of relaxing, introspection. The moon is your inner mind, how you emotionally respond and react, right? The moon is connected to water, and memory. The moon is your body, your health, your intuition. So Monday should be a day of journaling, really focusing on your health, maybe some intermittent fasting, just kind of like recalibrating, even spending a little extra time in the bed. So that's why nobody wants to go to work on Monday. Right? We should be working 4 days a week and just do 10 hours days, Tuesday through Friday. Tuesday, that's your busiest day. It's the day of the planet Mars, right? And it's action. Mars is your willpower, your drive. It's brothers, boyfriends, it's property, land, cuts, separates, divides. It's procedures and surgeries. It's also associated with cats. But Mars is actually for a man, it's his sex drive too. So Mars Tuesday is the day you should be lifting weights because it rules the upper body. So Mars is bench press, bicep, tricep curl, anything upper body with the arms, right? Shoulders, all that. Wednesday, miércoles, right? And sorry, I didn't give you the Spanish.
No.
Sunday, sol. Monday,
No.
lunes, the moon.
Yeah.
Tuesday, martes.
Yeah.
Wednesday, miércoles,
Miércoles.
Mercury.
Yeah.
So Mercury Wednesday, what does Mercury rule? Mercury rules the lungs, your hands, ears, shoulders, wrists. So Monday, I always look at Wednesday, sorry, not only is it hump day, it's your day for communication. Mercury's the messenger. All the emails, plans, messages, texts. Wednesday is the day where you're like making all the contacts and connections. As far as your health, though, I think it's important to go for a walk. It's something we should do every day. But if you have to be intentional and pick a day, Wednesday is that day. A lot of breath work, yoga, stretching. I think if you're doing anything exercise-wise, maybe that's a day where you're getting on the treadmill and running, because you're expanding and breathing the lungs. Mercury is like short distance trips, right? So that's a really good day for Mercury on Wednesday to do that. Thursday is Jueves, Jupiter. right? I call it Try It Thursday. So with Jupiter, it's your wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. But it also rules the hips and thighs. That's the greatest day to do leg press, squats, right? Anything with the legs and building your core and lower body. Also, Jupiter is a day where you can teach, share your wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies, sign up for courses, or start teaching your course.
Mm.
Thursday is a good day to plan your weekend and trips because Jupiter is about abundance, fortune, and luck, expansion.
Expansion.
So expand your mind, your thoughts, your ideas on Thursday. And Friday,
I'm
forget
writing this
about it
down.
Friday, baby. Friday is Venus. If you want to
Love.
cheat and do something on a Friday, that's when you eat your dark chocolate. Friday, right? You eat your
Yeah.
sweets on Friday. And trust me, if you work with these planetary energies,
Yeah.
your body and you feel more aligned. So Friday, it's also what is Venus? It's relationships, it's food, it's finance. Good day to get the car clean. That's good
Mm.
karma and energy, everybody, right? For relationships and money, keep your car clean, okay? Venus is also our devotion. So one thing about Venus, because it's also arts, culture, and entertainment, what do they do Fridays? They release the movies. They know
Yeah.
this. The people in
Wow.
power use astrology and they know it.
Huh.
So Venus is also money. What's Friday? Payday.
Yeah. I
See?
love it.
There are no accidents. So it's really powerful. And then to wrap up the week, so Friday is also a good time, take your girlfriend or your wife out, fellas, for,
Hmm.
something to eat. Or even like my wife and I with the kids, we do date night at home, right? We're so busy during the week, we never get a chance to just sit down and watch something in the DVR or watch a TV series we like on Netflix or Showtime, right? We've been watching
I,
Yellow Jackets. We
I know
love
you're
it.
into Yellow Jackets. I can't believe you and your kids are watching. We
No,
finished
no,
the
the
whole
kids
thing.
don't watch Yellow Jackets.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just
Because
my
it's
wife and I.
like
No, no,
it
that's
get
not for the
talk
kids.
about dreams. Ooh, boy, you cannot
Yellow
watch that
Jackets is
before you go
deep.
to bed.
You like it? You watch?
Finish the whole thing. Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay,
was
okay. Don't tell me. Yeah.
I
So
won't. I
it's
won't.
so good, so good. So
Yeah.
we're in, I think, the second season. So I don't want to
Yeah.
do any spoilers for people who haven't seen it,
Nope,
but
nope, nope.
go watch
Not
it.
saying anything.
So Sabado, Saturn. That is the real day of worship. Saturn is the planet of karma. We live in a Saturnian bubble matrix. Saturn's about discipline, structure, organization. Well, if you think about Saturday, yeah, it's a day for you to have fun, but usually if you work all week, Saturday people what? They go to the cleaners, they go to the bank, they go to the you run errands, you handle your business on Saturday. I remember when I was teaching in New York City, Saturday was like my time to clean the house in the morning and then go run my errands. And then
Hmm.
hopefully by 4 or 5 p.m. I could start to do something for myself to have fun. But I had to take
Right.
care of so many different things on Saturday, right? And
Yeah.
that's Saturn.
Mm.
Saturn also wants you to respond to your abilities. It's the great malefic in astrology, but Saturn's also machines, government authority. So with it being machines, Saturday is the third best day to work out, right? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Because Saturday being machines and Saturn, you can do the full body workout when you're doing like the weights and the bench press and this and that. And so I think of Saturday. I think if I tell people if you need to work out more than 3 days a week, I would add Wednesday and Sunday.
Mm.
Monday and Friday, you shouldn't do it. You're not going to feel good. This is a day of comfort and entertainment and pleasure and joy and enjoying music and festivals and things. Monday is a day of introspection and relaxation. So for you to try to work out, it doesn't mean you can't walk or do things. And yeah, plenty of people work out on those days. But in terms of how you're aligning your body and your energy, you're just not going to get the results you really want working out on Mondays and Fridays. So if you try this and see and build, right? Let's say if you did Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then added Wednesday, Sunday, I'm telling you, you would feel like $1
Mm.
trillion. It really is very helpful. But also think of Saturday also implementing, I think you should do it 7 days a week, but definitely if you can't, implement some spiritual practice on Saturday
Yeah.
too. That's very important.
Well, you answered my question about how everything aligns with the chakras, and so that's really good. And I'm gonna be talking to you more about that at another time, another cliffhanger. I can't give the cow away for free. I mean, the milk away. Um, all right, so I'm gonna digress just a bit or hop off this, but thank you for sharing all that. The listeners will find that fascinating, I hope, as well. Just off the cuff, can you think of maybe one of your most favorite guests so far since you've been doing this and why?
My That's whoa. That's like picking a child, right?
I know, without like disrespecting anybody else, but like the first thought that you have might be like your most, it doesn't, for any reason at all.
February for Black History Month, I interviewed my four sons and my wife.
Oh,
And I gotta tell you, capturing them at 25, 15, and 11, it was so humbling and magical, but I learned so much. I think interviewing my one of my twins, my son Jackson, all the boys, it was great, but I learned so much because sometimes he's very quiet and in his head, and he's a very spiritual guy, and I'll talk about him more when we do the end of the episode because we have
yeah.
a connection. But he had a moment on the interview because I really interviewed them like guests, and to see their responses, but I kind of asked him about his grandmother passing away, and just what he was dealing with when I was in the hospital, and he kind of broke into tears, and he loved his grandmother so much, and it was just to see that side of him and for him to share that and reveal that. Even the audience, like, they're up there, you have to go and watch them. It was powerful, and the compliments that I got and that people gave my wife and I and said, you guys are doing a great job with these kids. They are amazing. And that was, we're very intentional. We work really hard. But then when other people say it, you may think it and see it yourself as a parent. You love your kids, right? But when other people give you compliments or point it out or see the light in them, that right there just goes right through your heart. So I think interviewing my four sons, but particularly Jackson Taylor, it really, and he's like he looks like me when I was a little boy. It's like he's
No.
like a mini me. But in some ways, to be honest with you, I may have closer bonds with the other boys. But when me and him do connect, it's always very deep and very spiritual,
Hmm.
even when we're
Yeah.
talking about sports. So I think that would be the interview. So that way I don't have to offend any of my.
Well, no, I feel like that was the true answer
Yeah,
anyway, and I
no, it
love that
was.
you shared that. So I'll definitely want to go
That's
look
a
at that
great question.
episode. You're so welcome. Yeah, and we connect on the twin thing, and one of my twins is more cerebral and a little quiet than her sister. So it is very interesting when you have the ability to have individual relationships with all of your kids. And especially in my case with identical twins, we made very sure that everyone knew they were not the same person, and they themselves know that too. So, but it's such
So
a cool,
important, right?
it's such a cool experience having twins for sure. All right. So the next question then is, besides what your favorite show might have been, is there anybody, like, everyone knows now Lenny Kravitz, right? But is there anybody you want to have on your show? Like, if you could have anybody, who would it be?
I got a list.
Okay.
But I would just say the three that I'm really trying to target and manifest, actually, two in sports and one, KRS-One. He's my favorite rapper of all time, my favorite MC. We worked with one of the same producers in the Bronx, so I have a connection to him. I've met him a few times at Maryland and other places in New York, and we've spoken, but I don't have a direct line to him, so I'm trying
Yeah.
to work on that. But I think I'm going to wind up making it happen. And he's
Yeah.
very deep and spiritual, so I think it'd be really powerful to have him. But on the sports side, see, this is like the pinky and the brain in me, because to be honest with you, the way that I know astrology, I can see in your birth chart your athletic ability. And with
Mhm.
my sports knowledge, I could be an amazing general manager of a team, right? Of like the Knicks or the Steelers or the Yankees or even the teams in Arizona. And there's two gentlemen that I respect so much for being the rebels that they are, and they face so much heat and criticism in the last few years because of different choices. But I would love to interview, because I know that they're open to it, Aaron Rodgers and Kyrie Irving. So I would like to have the two of them on my podcast. They're both kind of awakened and on this spiritual path. I think they're both open to astrology. I know Aaron Rodgers is, because I saw his birth chart, and he was on a big Zoom call. It was a big media thing, and he was on a thing with Deborah Silverman, the astrologer. And Aaron Rodgers is the Taurus rising, Sagittarius sun, and Scorpio moon. So I would love to have him on. And now he's on my favorite team. He was on my second favorite team for a minute with the Jets, and then now
Yeah.
he's on my favorite team this upcoming season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm like, dude, you gotta come to my podcast. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, I'm sure you could reach out to him on Instagram and he would probably answer you.
I'm
So,
gonna go for it. We'll see. I mean, I've done it through X, but I think
yeah,
Twitter is too loud. There's too much noise, and most people
yeah.
don't check that. Maybe Instagram is the way for me to go. And but
Just slide into his.
I like to get like an in. See if I have a friend who knows somebody this and that. Because my sports radio show, I interviewed a lot of people. Most of the athletes were more on the retired side, and a lot of sports
Mhm.
journalists. But I interviewed Hall of Famers like Eric Dickerson. I had Randall Cunningham. John Sally, they used to play for the
Mhm.
Bulls and the Pistons and Lakers. And so I've interviewed a lot of different athletes, and yeah, that's something that I would really love. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
gonna
hopefully
it's
that
gonna
will
happen.
happen. Just slide into their DMs, Eric. Just
All
go
right.
ahead and just be a teenager. Um, all right. I think this is a good place to stop this part of our show together, unless there's anything else you want to add or redirect. I want you to tell people how to find you. And, you threw a lot of things that you've already produced, like your albums and this and that. So I'll put all of that in the show notes, but just verbally, the easiest way to find you would be what?
Yeah. So my website is bigeastrology.com, and that's BIGE astrology.com. You can always email me directly, Eric, ERIC, at bigeastrology.com. I also, I just started something I'm really proud of, my own private community. It's called the Knowledge is Love Tribe, and it's kind of magical. I think of Field of Dreams. I'm a big movie guy.
Yeah,
If you
love
build
that
it,
movie.
they will. So my wife and I have built this private community that is just so yummy and filled with knowledge, but it's more about the people. The
Mhm.
people, one after another. Everybody is so enlightened, so positive and awakened, and our tribe meetings are just like so amazing. Like sometimes I'm just sitting there in awe, and I'm just like, and yeah, we got some eclectic, weird people, and people think I'm eclectic and weird. So it's all cool, right? Because what I really wanted to create is a place where people are seen. So often in Facebook groups or you join these different things, people are like, oh, don't spam and don't promote this. And I'm like, no, in my tribe, you can come in and promote your business. I want you to share things you create, something you wrote. I want you to learn and exchange. We've got groups. It's Buddy Boss, and it's sort of like a Facebook format. But there's about 18 different groups we have now, ranging from herbs to plant medicine to relationships and self-love, crystals, homesteading, health, astrology, numerology. We got a tarot group. We got a sister circle just for the ladies and a man code just for the men. But just also a section for business, and I just love it because I'm all about building community. And I
Mhm.
also did that where a few years ago I started my monthly astrology meetings, and it's called Astrological Coffee Talk. I'm a New
Right.
Yorker, right? Coffee Talk with Eric. So it's twice a month. I've one coming up this weekend, but I teach astrology lessons. And they're very, low price, $22, and that's for 2 hours. And then I do one for my mini coffee talk, 65 minutes, $13. And it's really fascinating and so much fun. I teach about major transits, different placements. We do blind birth chart readings for Coffee Talk members. So it's like a group tank. So
Mm.
everybody's reading one person's chart. Just a myriad of different things. And what I love is that people find friends and community there. And I've literally had people come from all over the world. I've had Nigeria, Australia, New Zealand, Poland, Amsterdam, all over Canada, all the states. And that's pretty humbling. So
Love
tell,
it. Yeah.
tell
So
people, just reach out to me. I really love to help people to truly understand who they are through the natal birth chart, which is the map of your life and the remembrance of your soul. And I would humbly be ready and willing to help people discover some new things about themselves.
yeah, and one of those new things is your new channel with Elena from Searchlight
Oh,
Tarot.
can't forget that. Stars
Right,
and
so go ahead and
Constellations.
plug that, please, because I'm
Oh,
excited about
Elena
that.
Searchlight Tarot is a giant in the tarot field, and she's
Yeah,
so awesome. She has a
love
huge
her.
But she is just authentically Aquarius. She's
Yeah.
Elena through and through, but she's really got a heart of gold and she's so much fun. And I always bring the laughter out of her, so it's kind of cool. And we had, one of her good friends is a lifelong friend of my wife. And so that's how we connected. And it kind of took a while, but then once we finally connected, I had her on my show, I think 3 times now. But once we connected, started talking, she's like, oh yeah, I want to come on your show. And I was like, awesome. And we did that, and she'd never gone live before, so we did that a couple times. And then it wasn't too long ago after we reconnected because we had a little break, and she came back on. She just said to me, she goes, "People love when we come together." She's like,
Yeah.
"We should do something together." And I said, "Yeah, like stepbrothers. Did we just
Yeah.
become best friends?" And so I was like, yeah, we should do something together. And we just been brainstorming and rehearsing and talking about it. And our first official video will be launched on August 23rd. And then our first official live will be on September 19th. So whenever
Ah,
people get to watch this, you make sure you tune in. We're on YouTube. It's Stars and Cards Lounge. And it's
right.
Elena from Searchlight Tarot and Eric from Big E Astrology. We want to give you the astrology and tarot, but we also want to give you some fun. There's knowledge, there's information, there's truth. We are going to whether it's for the week or the month, give you all 12 signs and stuff like that from the tarot and the astrology. But we also want you to think, we want you to laugh, we want to be entertaining.
Yes.
Think of it coming to you come into a lounge, you want to have a good time. But in
Yep.
our
Yes,
lounge,
you
you can
do.
also have deep conversations too.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who's been on my show too, Kirsten. She had a show for a while. Her whole business was coffee cup productions. And so she did a thing called Coffee Talk. And I went on to Coffee Talk over COVID and talked all about the chakras. And those videos are on my YouTube channel along with
Awesome.
my podcasts as well. I'm starting to load my videos up there slowly, but my YouTube channel is Lauri Stern Custom Wellness and Real and Woo Podcast. So I've got all the things. It's just such a Gemini name. It's like, how can I tell the people what is on my channel? I'll just name it all. So that's what I do.
The magic of Gemini. Like you guys are so gifted and so talented, and I love not just your podcast but your energy. It's so
Thank you.
infectious, and I'm so honored to be here today and to
Thanks.
be here with you and your audience. And I love your questions and how you do it because it's fun and it's cool. So,
Thank you. It's the yoga instructor in me. I go with the flow, and thank you for taking the lead and following in your way. And I wish you many wonderful blessings ahead, and I can't wait to see what else is in you. And I want to hear what you produce and everything. So, Eric, Big E Astrology, thank you for being on the Real and the Woo with me.
it was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Pleasure.